Hello everyone, I am Mikhil and I work with the marketing team here at Launchcode. Welcome to a new episode of Launchcast, the Launchcode podcast. A couple of weeks ago, you met our CEO, Alberio Bathory-Frota. He spoke about one of Launchcode's earliest projects, Soul. If you haven't checked that out already, please do, the link is in the description. So Soul was built to bring in administrative efficiencies at retirement residences, specifically at Masterpiece Care. Today, Masterpiece Care President, Tim Garforth-Bles, is with us, and he'll help us understand, among other things, the operations of a retirement residence and the day-to-day impact of Soul. With me today is Masterpiece Care President Tim Garforth-Bles, a former army man turned entrepreneur. He has over 3 decades of experience in the senior and government-funded continuing care industry, and his most recent project is the Masterpiece Southland Meadows at Medicine Hat in Alberta. Welcome to Launchcast, Tim.
Mikhil, thanks very much. Really appreciate you having us here today, and I'm excited to be able to tell you about my experience with Soul and Launchcode, how wonderful they were in this program and the development. As you say, 3 decades, that's a long time.
It is.
Sometimes I felt that I knew what I was doing, but there are other times where I just take a minute and try and figure out how to do things better, how to serve our employees better, bring a new product into the home and allow them to use it and see how it goes. And we really have felt that with Soul, we've hit the mark. So I'm very excited today to tell you about it. It's probably a very good departure for us, because before that we were using paper, we were using sign-in sheets, we were using Excel worksheets. We were using off-the-shelf product, which never worked for us, and we tried to adapt that with no success. So this isn't the first software we have used in the building, but it's certainly the most successful that we've had, so yes.
Thanks a lot, Tim. Thanks for those kind words, and the pleasure is all ours. We'll definitely get more into Soul,
Right.
a little later in the conversation. But 10 years in cavalry and then to retirement residences, I mean, how does that happen?
Well, I was in the British Army, so as an officer, and I came here on exchange. And I met this guy. He was a businessman. He was in insurance, but he made a foray into retirement residences.
Right.
And he was he was a colonel of the regiment that we were in at the time. And he took a big interest in me because he knew I was leaving the army. So when I left, he gave me his listings. There were a couple of office buildings downtown and a few retirement residences. And that's when this was in the 90s, I put together a spreadsheet of all the retirement residences in Canada, all the owners, and all the companies in the States. And I would go around helping larger companies consolidate their holdings in preparation for a REIT. I'm sure you know what a REIT is. So they were very successful. And then I looked at the way that they were being run, these retirement residences, and I saw that, or felt that I could do things slightly differently, better or not, but differently. And so we started Masterpiece in 2001, and since then we've built seven buildings. So 2 in Montreal, we had 2 in Medicine Hat, 2 in Red Deer, 1 in Calgary. So across the country, and we're always looking for ways to engage our employees, to make sure they're happy when they come through the door, to make life easier. COVID has been very testing for us.
Right.
So maybe we can talk about that in a little bit, but yeah.
We shall. And just so that our viewers are kind of clear on that, REIT, I'm assuming, is the real estate trust that you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. So I do know a little bit about
Yes,
it.
in the 90s, these buildings were basically family run.
Right.
And we used to call them mom and pop operations.
Right.
And so I would go around offering them the best price.
Right.
And consolidating those holdings into one company, which then became public, which is the REIT. And mainly for Toronto companies, some Vancouver companies, some down from the States. But nowadays, there has been all this consolidations taken place.
Right.
And values actually are getting tighter and tighter, so yeah.
Taking off from what you were talking about, like as a senior population grows, by some estimates, it is expected to hit around 25% of the Canadian population by 2036. There definitely are challenges of running like a great retirement residence, and I guess those challenges only increase over time.
That's right, Mikhil. There was a time when I got into it quite a while ago, 20, 30 years ago, where the population wasn't covered off. Like these facilities were government run. There was very little private industry in this business. Now the market is saturated. We have a lot of retirement homes. There's quite a lot of vacancy after COVID. There's a lot of vacancy. But the population is certainly coming along. So the baby boomers are about to retire. They will need spaces in the retirement residences. And everything's word of mouth. So how do you appeal to the baby boomers that are retiring now? How do you portray the best, building the best staff to that population? It's very competitive. Rates are competitive. They vary from region to region. But the thing that really differentiates one operator from another is the operating costs. So the operating costs are approximately 60 to 80% of your gross as a percentage of your gross income. And of that, your staffing costs are about 70 to 80% of your op costs.
Right.
So how can you have an effect on your op costs? How can you have an effect on staffing so that your morale is high, so that you can staff all your lines, so that you can tighten up on your op costs? And that, of course, leads to value.
Yeah, and I'm assuming a lot of these retirement residences, especially say some like the Masterpiece Southland Meadows, for instance, they're almost like communities unto themselves. There's housekeeping, there's catering, there's healthcare services. There's a lot of there are lots of verticals working as one, right? The communities unto themselves.
Right. And I think that was probably my strength.
Okay.
Was also getting into the business without a degree, having a very open mind. I wasn't specializing in one area or another.
Right.
I basically took every aspect of the business on. I love, and this goes back to when I was 8. So when I was 8, I organized, I built camps. I loved to build. I built camps for my friends. We had them all organized into different groups of whatever activity they enjoyed at the time. We'd have conferences, we'd get together. So that sort of has always been with me. So I love the diversity of the business, because you go down to your building and there's never one day that's the same.
Sure.
So I have people in management who are experts at nursing. I have in particular with this building, two RN, they're Bachelor of Nursing and Masters of Nursing. They're very expert at it, and they're in the forefront for the nursing. But all the hospitality I run, I defer to them for their advice quite often on nursing, although, over the years I picked up on a lot of it. It is a very diverse business, and I think with Seoul, Seoul has brought everyone together, and it makes, you're looking after 200 staff. It makes your building very unique, and there's a sense of belonging and community not only within the departments, but also as a whole, like a collective. It's like all for one, one for all. And I think, having Seoul really brings people together that way. It's been good, yeah.
A lot of the times, it's generally a very simple idea. It's a simple comment that sparks off an idea. It says, my overtime costs are high. In your case, that is. But I guess your statement was a very symptomatic reaction. It was a very symptomatic statement. The reasons were somewhere in between the extensive operation that you had. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yes, I think that, of course, when you develop a property, you're going to staff up to a point where you can take care of all the different areas, and sometimes you can overstaff. So it's a very similar thing with Seoul, because when you overstaff, of course, you have to kind of redirect some of your energies. And it's very interesting. We have, just to let you know, in 2020, we won the award for the best business in Medicine Hat.
Oh, wow.
And
congratulations on that.
Thank you. And in 2021, we won, I have to get this right, but we won the Alberta Chamber of Commerce Award for Corporate Mentorship. And this year we've been nominated for Community Attraction. But those last two, they really illustrate that we care for our employees, and especially the mentorship. And it's really about moving people around within the building, redirecting your resources. In the kitchen, we have 4 hospitality aides in the kitchen who are applying for their nursing qualifications.
Oh, wow.
So there's enormous diversity, and our chef, Ray, he's really trying to bring those, encourage his staff to grow. So we've had staff leave the kitchen and set up their own restaurants. They've been highly successful, go into nursing, as I mentioned. But also we like to cross-train, and that's a big part of what we do. So with Seoul, when we were able to reduce the lines, we basically were able to repurpose within the building. But also COVID came along, so there was a lot of single site worker. We lost quite a few staff because we were a new building. They'd been working elsewhere but part-time with us. So they of course had to go back to where they originally were because they had seniority. There. So there was a little bit of natural attrition there, let's say, but generally we try to repurpose people. And Seoul allows us to do that. You can see all the shifts, you can see who you're working with. You can look across the fence at nursing and say, hey, these shifts are open, maybe I should become a nurse. So that's
so, I guess good people are at the heart of any operation, right? So also provided long-term visibility to the employees, and it basically empowered them. In terms of taking control of their own schedules.
Yes. That is the main part of what we're doing here. Like the employees, they feel liberated, they feel in control of what they're doing, and honestly, that is the best thing that ever happened to Masterpiece. It's not a top-down, it's a bottom-up, and they just feel easy that they have control of their schedules, because that's never happened before. That's a huge difference from other industry players. It's that, where everything is, you have a scheduling clerk and everything's directed, and when a shift becomes available, you're not going out to everybody. This is a level playing field. Everyone gets notified when a shift becomes available. And then you can pick up if you want, you can take vacation, you can plan vacation. if you're feeling sick, you put that shift up. If you want time off, there are many different leaves. I think in the union contract we have about 12 different leaves. So we tailor Soul to the union contract so that everything is in line with the contracts that we have.
Right.
And when people request time off, it's typically taken care of. When we started this program, shifts were picked up in 15 seconds.
Wow.
Now we have a seniority pause, so people can bid for the shift, and then after so many minutes, the shift is closed, and the senior person gets the shift. And that's because that's the way the union contract is written. So, but yeah, apart from that, it certainly gives everyone, that ease, that comfort. Many people in the industry, they don't know if they're going to be working tomorrow, or they don't know their schedule next week.
Right.
This, you can go years out with Soul, which is different. Yeah.
But how was it working with Launchcode? What impressed you the most about Launchcode's process?
Well, Albert is a genius, and his team are brilliant, and it's very well thought out, the Launchcode process, and we. I think we go back to the concept presentation, and when we received that, Albert, Robbie, the team, they came down to Medicine Hat, presented that beautifully in the theatre.
The proof of concept.
The proof of concept. Yeah. It was so spot on.
Right.
We just wanted to take it home on that day, and we were like scratching our heads thinking, why can't we have this? We need this. And then we totally understood the process. But what was interesting in the process, and we had sprints every week, sprint meetings, and my wife, Maria, and I, and certain people from Masterpiece Operation would attend those here in Calgary. It was easier for the two of us. My wife is the CFO. Easier for the two of us to attend those. They were always animated, always fun. But what really struck me was the way that the team always excelled. They never let anything go unless it was the very best. And they made sure that they fully understood. I mean, they're smart people, but they made sure that they fully understood the business before proceeding. There was very little wasted time, and in fact, there was no wasted time, because there was great communication, and nothing was developed that was kind of going off the main path. And the main path was always well communicated, like at the meetings that we had, and just the sprint meetings, and what was sent back to us in the way of minutes. Great understanding of the product. And the thing that I really want to emphasize is that this was basically 18 months in production. So we've been operating it for 3.5 years. The 18 months before that, they produced a product that was not only on topic, it exceeded what we wanted, just in terms of the artificial intelligence, the way that we were not expecting to see a product that good, just in terms of the employee participation in the whole thing. Like it really gave our building a new life, just in terms of the employees being part of this. We thought it was going to be much more top down, not ground up. So that piece, which is really, an important piece of Soul, happened, as we developed the program.
Right.
And it was such an important piece. So I think we were really happy with the end result, like the way that they provided us with that, and it exceeded our expectations.
So, as someone who has this extensive business experience over 3 decades in your case, what's the kind of advice you would give entrepreneurs, businesses, especially when it comes to like embracing technology and
Yeah, I mean, you've got to listen to your people. They are the heartbeat of your operation, right? That's the most important thing. And if they're telling you something, you need to work hard to make that happen, and really put yourself in their position. So that's really, really important. Do not ignore your staff. If you have good staff, they're going to be better than you in any given area. And you better listen to them. Otherwise, you're not going to do well. Let's say. I think you need to study what's out there. Make sure you invest in the right technologies. I've invested in different technologies over time, and some are good and some are not so good. So I think it's really important you know what you're getting into, because once you commit, it's like building a building. Once you commit and start going down a path, you're stuck.
Right.
So we were so pleasantly surprised with Sol in that area. The other area is follow your gut instincts. Make sure that, I mean, you can read a lot these days, right? On everywhere. There's information coming at you from every angle. Right. And at the end of the day, if something is good, stick with it. You know, make sure you follow your gut instinct. I think that's really important. And so that's my advice.
That's great advice. I really hope. I've realized over the years that technology really plays a huge part in simplifying day-to-day life. It really brings change in the lives of people in the community. Today seemed like a masterclass from Masterpiece Care President Tim Garforth-Bles about using technology to make lives better, to make businesses better. And we're thankful to Tim for all his insights and the experiences he shared. Thanks a lot, Tim, for coming today.
Mikhil, thank you. And when you're older, we'll make sure we look after you well. So,
I mean, if Masterpiece is as good as you're making it out to be, I wouldn't mind that at all.
Very good. Thank you.
That's it for today's Launchcast. We hope you enjoyed this very insightful conversation with Tim, and we hope that you like, comment your feedback or any other thoughts that you have down below, and even share this video with anyone you feel is interested in software development, custom solutions, or technology in general. Do share our content with them, and we do keep regularly producing content that's relevant in the world of technology and software development. So do subscribe to Launchcode's channel. Do follow Launchcode on other social media platforms for more content. Links are in the description. See you in the next episode of Launchcast. Until next time.